For 8 months, I never set my eyes on Ikenga again, and I was pleased that the god had finally left me. During this period was when I met Ikemefuna, a young hunter from a neighboring community. Ikemefuna showered me with so much gifts and fresh bushmeat, and my grandmother was very happy anytime Ikemefuna came around, bearing his numerous gifts. Ikem asked me to marry him, which I gladly accepted because I had fallen in love with him over time. Everything in my life was going smoothly until Ikem's proposal. So, on one of my surprise visits to Ikem's place, I found many people gathered in front of his hut, and there were wailings and cryings. I wondered what was going on, so I pushed through the crowd to find Ikem's dead and lifeless body on the ground with maggots coming out. I threw myself on the ground and I cried my eyes out. I returned to my place, and my greatest mistake was sharing the news with my grandmother. Her weak heart could not take it, as she suffered a heart attack immediately and died 2 days after. I was stunned. Sorrow became my new neighbor and pain my companion. I called for death, but it was far from me. One midnight, as I was fast asleep, for the first time in a long time, I felt his presence again, a presence that I dreaded with everything in me. Ikenga was visibly angry, and I was scared because during his previous visits, he was never this livid. Before I could say anything, he busted out.
So you thought you could run away from me? I told you you belonged to me, and I meant every word of it. You dare defy me by trying to marry someone else. If I can't have you, then no one else will,
he said. It was then reality dawned on me that I began to reminisce everything the Dibia had told me about Ikenga being a jealous god. A wave of guilt embraced me immediately because it was then that I realized that Ikenga had killed Ikemefuna, and it was all my fault. Ikenga was furious on this particular visit, and in his fury raped me mercilessly. I lost my virginity in the most terrible way possible, and this continued for several months, and I wished for death to come. One day, I made up my mind that I was going to free myself from this menace, and I embarked on a journey to an unknown land to visit a powerful Dibia I had heard of. When I got there, the Dibia looked at me intensely and called me bride of Ikenga and asked what I was doing there. I explained my ordeal, and he then explained to me that Ikenga is a god of beautiful things. Hence, anything that is scarred repulses him, and that few minutes to midnight I should kill a white cock in front of my hut and use the same knife to cut myself on a spot that Ikenga would see. He went further to tell me that the Dibia from my village was interested in my grandmother when they were much younger, and my grandmother refused to marry him. Hence his revenge on me. I was surprised to the core. Determined to do as the Dibia has instructed me, I headed home that very day. I was extremely determined to stop Ikenga, not only for myself, this time for my grandmother as well. She didn't deserve any of this. I cried bitterly just thinking of her. A couple of minutes to midnight, I started the ritual as I was instructed, and for some reason I felt extremely weak and slept off just outside the hut. At midnight, I heard my name being called out so loudly that one would think I had committed an atrocity. I opened my eyes widely to see an angry Ikenga.
Sochima, how dare you soil the entrance of your hut with such a bloody cockerel? Sochima, how dare you defy me so?
At this point, I had even forgotten to cut myself like the Dibia from the unknown hand had instructed me. So I told Ikenga that his time in my life was over and he should leave. Immediately I finished talking, I felt a very spiteful slap from across my hut where Ikenga was standing, and I was forced to cough out blood. I touched my face in disbelief. That was even when I remembered that I was holding a knife that the Dibia had instructed me to cut myself with. At that point, I wasted no time and I scarred myself as if my body wasn't even mine in the first place. Ikenga was extremely shocked by my actions and looked at me with so much shock. He vanished into thin air, leaving a lot of dust in my compound. After that very encounter, I never set my eyes on Ikenga again. A couple of years later, I got married to a handsome man and we had beautiful children together. I was finally at peace with myself and my chi. This is my story.